So Dartmouth University basketball has the ability to vote to create their own players' union. How is that going to destroy amateur college sports? We'll talk about that next on the ProZone. Welcome to the ProZone. I'm Matt Roberts. So 2 days ago, Dartmouth University received the okay to go ahead and vote to see if they wanted to become part of a players' union or create a players' union. Let's read the story here from CBS Sports. For the first time, NCAA athletes have been allowed to unionize. A National Labor Relations Board, NLRB, regional manager ruled on Monday that Dartmouth men's basketball team could vote to form a union. It would mark the first time a labor union would consist of NCAA athletes. I told you so. I told you that was going to happen. Once they started paying athletes, the unions were going to get involved because the unions, they just want money. That's what they're all about. They want your money. If they can get you to unionize, then what they're going to do is force you to pay union dues. It's not an optional thing. When you're part of a union, you're required to pay union dues. They come right out of your salary. That's just what it is. And it's like, done. No options at all. I remember I was a security guard when I was in college, did some security on the side. And our security people, the labor person came in and said, you guys should unionize. I'm like, we make like nothing. Like we're a pittance. Well, you guys should unionize. And they want you to unionize because, again, they want your money. And then they say, we can offer you protections and you could get certain things. It doesn't work that way. They're not going to offer you anything that you can't already get. Okay? But they want to do that. So they get people who are easily influenced, who make them think they need their help, and then they say, join a union. So you got these basketball players who are not professional players. They are amateurs. They're just college students. And they're saying, they say, we need you guys got to join a union. And the players go, that's not a bad idea. So when I was a security guard, the other security guards said, yes, we're going to join a union. And I said, what if I don't want to? They went, well, you have no choice. You have to. I'm like, okay, wonderful. So we ended up joining a union. I think the most we got out of them was a whopping 10 cent per month raise, or 10 cent per hour raise, 10 cents. Woohoo. It didn't accomplish anything because the union dues were far more than the 10 cents we were getting. So it didn't really matter. So I get to now lose part of my paycheck to them for nothing. But I digress. Unions are good in certain areas. If there aren't protections, if you're abusing people at the workplace, things like that, that's different. But for the most part, unions aren't necessary anymore because you have human relations and you have a lot of other precedent and lawsuits that come with it. But like I said, I told you it was going to go this way. So let's continue on with this. So what they're saying that the decision will now potentially change student athlete into student employee. So now your basketball players are employees. Now, they can get paid for what they're doing. Well, they're going to get paid anyway through name, image, and likeness. But now they're saying that they're going to have to get paid by the college to play. The NLRB, National Labor Relations Board, official decided the players should be compensated. He decided. The person who wants you to join a union, he decided, he or she. The players should be compensated because of the labor they provide to the private Hanover, New Hampshire-based school, meaning Dartmouth University. Dartmouth players don't receive scholarships, athletic scholarships, nor do your other Ivy League schools. So like you can say in other schools, well, they're compensated because they're getting a scholarship. But in the Ivy League schools, they don't get a scholarship. They just play. The key is that they're getting into an Ivy League school. They have the academics, but the athletics helps them get into an Ivy League school, which is huge for their future development, networking, business growth, reputation. Pretty good for their resume, okay? You say you graduated from Dartmouth or Harvard or Yale, that looks good on the resume, okay? And it generates a lot more respect in the business world. But that's not enough. So this NLRB guy convinced these players, or is trying to convince these players, that you need to get paid. And the players get to vote. Continuing on, it says here, at some point in the near future, the 15 players of the Dartmouth roster will vote to unionize. And only a simple majority of 8, so 8 of the 15, are needed for them to formally join Local 560 of Service Employees Union. The union already represents some employees at Dartmouth. So there you have it. As I predicted, go back and listen to my earlier videos, watch my earlier videos. I predicted it, that once they start to pay athletes, once they do that, the unions are going to jump on. They're going to want you to unionize. And why do you think the politicians are so dead set on getting these athletes paid? As I said before, the politicians don't benefit from this in any other way except for monetarily. They're not going to get good photo ops with players. They might get a few photo ops, but it's not enough to drive up their interest, to give them the optics for politics and for political gain. They're not going to, they're doing it out of the kindness of their heart. No, politicians don't do that. Politicians do stuff for people so they can get something in return. That's just how politicians work. And most of it's monetarily. They want athletes paid so they can say, hey, remember all the work I did for you? How about you donate some money to my campaign? Or why don't you volunteer for my campaign? Or in this case, how about you join a union, or the unions will get you to join, and then they'll take money from your paycheck that they will then donate to my campaign. Because let's be real, unions historically donate to Democrat candidates. That's what they've done. They rarely back a Republican candidate, and they sure as hell don't pull their money. The labor union usually donates their money right to Democrat candidates. And that's why when you have a Democrat running for office, a Democrat politician, they always try to push a lot of work toward the unions, and they try to curry favor with the unions because they know the more work they give the unions, the more money the unions make, and the more money that they take out of the paychecks from their workers, and the more money they can then give back to the politicians. That's just how it works, folks. That's the nature of politics. So now you have young people, 17 to 21 years old, who are being convinced to join a union, potentially, given the opportunity to do so. And they're going to look at it and say, oh, well, we get paid. We get money to play now. Yeah, you do get money to play now. So what I would do if I were the Ivy League schools is I would say, well, here's the option. You can unionize and get paid, but you won't get scholarship money from us, or we give you scholarship money now and you don't unionize to get paid. That's not going to happen. The players are probably going to vote to unionize, and it's going to force the college to pay them. And that goes hand in hand with what the NCAA was proposing back in January. They laid out the basic framework of it. They didn't go too in depth, but they want to create a subdivision in football and other sports now too, where you would the teams will be responsible for paying athletes now. They would be in control of the nils. It wouldn't be individual groups. It would be a team organized nil collective that would then directly pay the athletes. And then the athletes would be treated as basically employees, and it would become semi-pro. And that's what we're doing with collegiate sports. This is the destruction of collegiate sports. It's going to become business. Once you get into the contracts, it's going to become business. You're going to have walkouts. You're going to have people who refuse to show up to practice because they're not making enough money. You're going to have strikes if you're a union and you're not getting enough money. And here's the key. You're part of Local 560. Okay? Now, Dartmouth University. Catch this. Dartmouth University. They rely on sports. Most of your colleges rely on a lot of sports revenue. Right? Basketball is a big moneymaker. Football and basketball are the two big moneymakers. Local 560 is not getting what they want, or they want to demand a pay raise. Not for basketball players. They just want a pay raise in general for the regular service workers in the university. So they say, as Local 560, we're going to strike. Strike! And the basketball players say, well, we want to play. And they go, oh, no, you can't play because you're part of our local 560. You have to strike in unity with us. And now the basketball players aren't allowed to play. Therefore, your eligibility gets destroyed because you're not allowed to play, and the clock starts ticking when you first play for a college. So you enter to Dartmouth University, you're a freshman, you start playing with the team, you suit up for a game, the clock starts to tick, and you have 4 years of eligibility, 4 years in a red shirt, right? But 4 years once you start playing. Now you're losing eligibility because you're on strike. And you could miss a whole season. It's not like, oh, we're going to go on strike, in the summer. They'll go on strike during basketball season. So you have to forfeit all of your games. And then you lose that eligibility. And you can't make it up. They're going to try to file lawsuits. But if I'm the NCAA, I'm going to say, sorry, you chose to you're a private citizen now. You chose to strike. That's on you. We're not going to protect you for that. It's not like, you were suspended for a season because of COVID. We can't give you that eligibility. That's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. They're going to use these young players, these malleable minds, easily taken advantage of, and those other union workers are going to say, now we can really screw the school because now we can make the basketball players go on strike. And that can screw up everything. And then you're going to lose TV revenue, you're going to lose attendance revenue, merchandising revenue, concessions revenue, and the workers don't care. They just don't. They'll go on strike just because they want to go on strike and they think they're making more money in the grand scheme of things. They might make a little bit more, but in the grand scheme, it's going to hurt everything because then they're going to lose the ability to have a job going forward. And if this happens with one, this sets a precedent. This happens with one school, Dartmouth. It now sets a precedent. So now, Dartmouth is an Ivy League school, and your lawyers love a precedent. They love it. They love a precedent because that means it's been ruled on before. So they can sit there and say, like at Harvard or Yale or, let's see, Brown University, Columbia, Cornell, Harvard, Princeton, University of Pennsylvania, Yale. Who else is there? Stanford, MIT. Those schools are also kind of on the fringe of that. Northwestern. They can all sit there and say, we're going to create a union too. So your Ivies, the entire Ivy League playoff structure can be destroyed with a strike. And as go the basketball players, so could go the football players at the school because now the precedent has been set. And other neighbor relations board representatives are going to go to those other schools and say, they're doing it at Dartmouth. You should do it here too. It's not fair that they're getting paid and you're not getting paid. It's a bad thing. It's a dangerous thing, dangerous road they're walking on. I hope they vote against it. That could come in any day now. All right? Any day, maybe the next couple of weeks. I don't know. But if I find out, I'll let you guys know. Or at least I'll tweet about it, or post on X about it. I don't even know what they call them yet. The X's. I'll X about it? I have no idea. But I'll post about it on socials if it does happen. But either way, it's dangerous. And this is where you are. So just keep that in mind. They're young stallions over at Dartmouth University. Be careful what you wish for because you just might get it. That's where we're going with college sports. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below. Reach out to me via Instagram at RecruitBoss, on Twitter or X at RecruitBoss. And I'd be more than happy to discuss this further. Hope you learned something today. Thank you very much for watching this abbreviated episode of the ProZone. Know your goal. Hey guys, thank you for watching the ProZone. Make sure you check back for more episodes. And if you haven't done so already, like, share, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss what we have coming up next.